This video is a short review on significant figures, scientific notation, and financial math. Number 1, express 0.00345678 to 3 significant figures. Remember that these leading zeros right here are never significant, which means that you're looking at 3 non-zero digits. So we're looking at the 3, the 4, and the 5. One of the things that you cannot do is just chop up a number. You can't just say, okay, I'm just going to cut it off right here, and that's my answer, 0.00345. You need to always take the time to look right next door to see if the number that comes after is 5 or higher. If it's 5 or bigger, that means that you're going to have to round up. So the correct answer in this case is going to be D, 0.00346. Also remember, you don't want to lose the value of the number. That's why all those zeros in the front stay as part of the answer. Number 2, round 5.6789 times 10 to the 4th to 4 significant figures. This is written in scientific notation. Notice that all of the answers are in scientific notation, which means that we just have to look to see 4 significant figures. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same thing, you don't just automatically write down 5.678 times 10 to the 4th as your final answer. You first have to stop and look at the number that comes right after the 8, which in this case is 9. And because 9 is bigger than 5, that means that the correct answer is going to be 5.679. Okay, so you have 5.6. It'll either stay 8 or it has to go up by 1 because the number that comes after is bigger. So the correct answer here is A, 5.679 times 10 to the 4th power. Calculate 3.45 times 10 to the negative 2 times 2.1 times 10 to the 3rd and express your answer in scientific notation with 3 significant figures. Okay, so in this case, you can use your graphing calculator and you can just go ahead and put this into the calculator. To our calculator, we can just input it 3.45 times 10 to the negative 2 power. Remember, there is a negative button in the calculator, times 2.1 times 10 to the 3rd power. So the calculator gives us an answer of 72.45. You can ask the calculator to give this to you in scientific notation and to 3 significant figures, meaning basically that you're going to have 2 decimal places. If I go to mode, I can change this from normal mode to scientific mode, and then from float, which means to include all the decimal values that possibly fit on the screen, and I can change that to 2 decimal places. So once I do that, I go second mode to quit. I can go ahead and re-input the same exact answer by going to second enter. And then it's going to give me the answer in scientific notation. The E means times 10 to the, and then whatever number comes after the E is the power. So the correct answer here to 3 significant figures rounded correctly is 7.25 times 10 to the 1 power. So in this case, I already know the answer is C. However, I don't recommend that you always do this because you're going to have to go back to mode and put it back into normal mode and then go back to floating. Or if not, every single answer is always going to be given to you in scientific notation to 3 significant figures. And that's not how you always want to get the answers. So unless you can remember to switch back and forth, you might want to just do this the long way. So if the answer is 72.45 when we got it from the calculator, I know this is not written correctly in scientific notation. You're going to have to move the decimal point back 1 space. So 7.245 times 10, since I moved it 1 time, to the 1 power. And because it says that you want it to 3 significant figures, same thing as before, we look at the 7, the 2, and the 4, but it's not automatically 7.24. You have to take a look at the number next to it, and because it is 5, the correct answer to 3 significant figures is 7.25 times 10 to the 1 power. So the answer is C. And again, this is something that in the calculator, if you change it to scientific mode and you go from floating to 2 decimal places, you're always going to get the correct answer in scientific notation to three significant figures, but you have to remember to switch it back. Number 4 is a financial math question. A principal of $5,000 is invested at a rate of 4.5% per annum compounded monthly. Per annum just means per year, and compounded monthly is going to become very important because in the calculator that means C per Y is 12. Calculate the value of the investment after 3 years. You are allowed to use the calculator's financial app for the IB exam, so that's exactly what we're going to do here. On the calculator, you're going to go to apps, you're going to go enter for finance, enter number 1 for TVM solver. N is the number of years. So in this problem, we're talking about 3 years. The interest rate is 4.5%. Present value is $5,000. Because this money is being invested, whomever created this app thought of it in terms of cash flow. If you are taking your $5,000 and investing it in a bank or some type of institution in order for it to earn interest, then that means that you are out $5,000. So your present value is going to be negative $5,000, and that's just the way the app works, cash flow. PMT is periodic payments, which we're not making right now. Those would be examples like you're making a car payment every month of $600, or perhaps you're paying your mortgage every month for $2,000. So those are periodic payments, but in this case, we don't have it. We're just investing. So leave PMT alone. Future value is what we're looking for, so we're going to leave the 0 there. If you clear it, remember the calculator will not let you keep coming down to enter any more values, so you have to put something there. Since 0 was already there, I'm just going to keep it there. P per Y is payments per year. This is not a payments question, so leave it alone. It is compounded monthly, so C per Y is 12. You're going to leave it at end. You go back to future value, alpha, enter is how you're going to get the correct response. So in this case, the answer is $5,721.24 when you round to the nearest cent. This means that the answer is going to be D. Number 5 is also a financial math question, but it's on depreciation. A car worth $25,000 depreciates at a rate of 15% per year. This means that the car is losing value. And in this case, it's losing value at a rate of 15% per year. So when we go to the calculator and we have to put the interest rate, we are going to put it as a negative 15 because it is losing 15% of its value. Calculate the value of the car after 4 years. So N is going to be 4. Present value is going to be negative 25,000. Future value is what we're looking for. And because this is just depreciation and it's losing 15% per year, C per Y is going to stay as 1. PMT is going to stay 0 by default. P per Y stays 1 by default. And it's going to be end by default. Those are the settings for the app when you first go in. So in the calculator for N, we're going to put 4. The interest rate is negative 15 because it's depreciating. Present value is negative $25,000. PMT is going to stay 0. Future value is what I'm looking for. And we said C per Y because it's depreciating per year is going to stay as 1. Go back to future value, alpha, enter. And the answer is $13,050.16 when you round. So the answer for number 5 is going to be D. Question number 6 is also financial math, but it is an investment question. John invests $10,000 in an account with an interest rate of 3.6% per annum compounded quarterly. How long will it take for his investment to double? We know that if he starts with $10,000 and we want his investment to double, this tells me the future value has to be $20,000 because that is twice as much as 10,000. So in the calculator, N now is what I'm looking for. The interest rate is going to be 3.6%. Your present value is negative 10,000. Your future value is now 20,000. And remember that present value and future value have to be opposite signs. Okay, they should always be opposite signs. That's just the way the app works. Then we're going to have C per Y. It is compounded quarterly. Therefore, I know that C per Y is 4. And remember, none of these are payments question where you're paying a mortgage monthly or your car monthly or you're putting money away into an investment account monthly or annually. This is just an investment question. So PMT stays 0, P per Y stays 1, and leave it at end by default. Let's go ahead and put this into our calculator. N is what we're looking for. You can't just clear it in the calculator. I keep reminding you because the calculator will not let you move down. So leave 0, leave 4, leave whatever it is that you want to put in there. Now, interest rate in this case is 3.6%. Present value is negative 10,000. We're going to leave PMT as 0. It's not a payments question. Future value is going to be double, so 20,000. P per Y stays as 1 because it is not a payments question. And C per Y is 4 because it is compounded quarterly. Go back to N, alpha, enter. And this tells me it's going to take me 19.34 years to double my investment. So in this case, the answer is going to be C, 19.34 years. Number 7, we go back to a depreciation question. A company purchases equipment for $50,000. The equipment depreciates at a rate of 12% per annum, meaning per year. Calculate the value of the equipment after 5 years. So in this case, N is 5. The interest rate, it's depreciating at 12%, which means it's going to be negative 12. Present value is negative 50,000 because that is how much it was worth at the beginning. We're looking for future value. PMT stays 0. P per Y stays 1. C per Y stays 1. So let's go ahead and put it in our calculator to figure out the future value. We're doing this for 5 years at an interest rate of negative 12% because it's depreciating in value. The original value is $50,000. PMT is 0. Future value is what I'm looking for. And we're going to make C per Y 1 because it's depreciating per year, 12%. Go back to future value, alpha, enter. This means that after 5 years, this equipment that was originally worth $50,000 is only going to be worth $26,386 and approximately 60 cents. So the answer is going to be D. Number 8 is a question on scientific notation. It is really important for you to understand that on the IB exam, they're not going to spell out scientific notation. They're going to tell you to write the answer in the form A times 10 to the K, where 1 is less than or equal to A less than 10 and K is an integer, okay? But when you see it this way, all it means is that you have to write your answer in scientific notation. In this particular case, I have to move the decimal point over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 4.56 times 10 to the negative 6. And that means that my answer is going to be A. Can you check this in the calculator? Yes. Be careful with all the zeros so that you can put it in correctly. Basically, in the calculator, let's get out of here. Second mode, which is quit. We can come right back. We can go to mode. We can change this, like I told you, to scientific notation mode. Instead of floating, we're going to put it to 2 decimal places. I'm going to get out of here again, second mode. I'm going to enter the number. Be careful with all the zeros. So 0 point, make sure that you don't make this mistake. Let's come back here and let's count it to make sure that we don't make a mistake with the number of zeros. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros that we have to enter before the 4, 5, 6. So 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros, and then 4, 5, 6. When you press enter, you're going to get the correct answer, 4.56 times 10 to the negative 6 power. So the answer is going to be A. Again, in the calculator, if you switch this to scientific mode, switch it back. Go back to mode, make it normal, and then press enter for it to float. And that way you're ready for the rest of the questions that you have to answer. So once again here, the answer was just A. For question number 9, you are dividing. This is something that the calculator is going to do for you. Can you do this by hand? Absolutely. You can do 3.2 divided by 8. 3.2, if you divide that by 8, it's just going to give you 0.4. By the rules of exponents, when you divide, you subtract the powers. So negative 4 minus 2 means negative 6. So the answer is 0.4 times 10 to the negative 6 power. This is not written correctly in scientific notation because in order for you to have a number written in scientific notation, there cannot be a 0 in front of the decimal point. I'm going to have to move this after the 4 and make it 4.0. But because I made the number bigger, instead of 0.4, now it's 4.0, I have to balance it out by making the power smaller. Smaller than -6 is -7, not -5. Be careful. So the correct answer is C. But obviously, this is something you can just put straight into your calculator and you're going to get the correct response. Let's go ahead and put this into the calculator. 3.2 times 10 to the -4. Typically, because we're putting this all into the calculator, when I was multiplying, I didn't really care about putting parentheses or not. In this case, because we are dividing, yes, you want to make sure that whatever you're dividing by is put in parentheses. So 8.0 times 10 to the second power. Close parentheses, press enter. So now it says 4 times 10 to the -7 power. So just like before, the answer is going to be C. And then finally, last but not least, number 10, the mass of an electron is approximately 9.11 times 10 to the -31 kilograms. The mass of a proton is approximately 1.67 times 10 to the -27 kilograms. How many times heavier is a proton than an electron? The fact that the proton is times 10 to the -27 versus the electron that is times 10 to the -31, the proton is going to be heavier because the bigger the negative number, the smaller it actually is. So -27 is bigger than -31. So in this case, I'm going to have to divide 1.67 times 10 to the -27 power divided by 9.11 times 10 to the -31. Because it says how many times heavier is the proton than the electron. You can put this right straight into your calculator. 1.67 times 10 to the -27 divided by parentheses 9.11 times 10 to the -31 is going to equal 1833.15. The calculator hasn't given it to us in scientific notation. I could go really fast into mode, change it to scientific, change it to 2 decimal places, and then go back and go second, enter, for it to give me the same answer again. And I know the answer is 1.83 times 10 to the third power, which is going to be answer B. Or I can do this by hand. Since I got an answer of about 1833, and I look at my answer choices and I can tell that it's just 3 significant figures, then I can say, okay, 1833, the decimal point is after. I have to move it back 1, 2, 3 spaces. So it's 1.83 times 10 to the third, which we already had said from using the calculator that the answer is going to be B. Hope you found this video helpful. Remember to subscribe to my channel for more help with math so that you can say, yes, I can do math with confidence. Until next time, thanks for watching.